Just shy from a year after its initial launch on other platforms, Outlast II has made its way to Nintendo's hybrid console, and you might be curious how this somewhat graphically demanding game runs on Switch. So let me immediately tell you that Outlast II is a huge technical achievement on Switch. We have a game that was developed on Unreal Engine 3 for machines that are quite a bit more powerful than the Switch, and as you might already know, unlike Unreal Engine 4, Unreal Engine 3 isn't natively supported on the Switch. I don't fully understand what that entails, I'm no tech guy by any stretch. However, the most impressive part about this port is that it makes very few graphical sacrifices. In other words, it's pretty much on par with the Xbox One and PS4 versions, aside from the frames per second being locked at 30 FPS, whereas the other platforms are at 60. And Outlast 2 surprisingly runs well on Switch. I only experienced a few heavy frame drops during my time with the game, which mainly happened when I was walking into new areas that were obviously loading. Other than that, it seems the Switch version increases the fog and dust density a bit, probably in order to drown out some of the poorer textures. Keep in mind that's purely speculation though. Overall, I would place Outlast 2 close to the top of the best looking games on Switch list in terms of its realistic art style, not a stylized one like how most Nintendo first-party games are. The graphics do take a small hit when playing in portable mode. Nothing too serious and maybe not even noticeable to some people. However, one thing I noticed in portable mode is that there's a lot more pop-in, mainly rocks on the ground and distant trees. Luckily, it never tarnished my overall gaming experience while I was playing on the go. Now, when it comes to the game itself, it's a terrifying, daunting, and completely messed up experience. In other words, if you're a fan of horror games, it's a must play. Outlast 2 ups the ante in pretty much every category over the first game. While a majority of the original Outlast took place in an insane asylum, Outlast 2 has you scouring across a sprawling, cult-infested wooded area. The setting is very reminiscent of Resident Evil 7 and early areas of Resident Evil 4, which I'm a huge fan of. It's not an open world game by any stretch, but the open town is well crafted and full of unrelenting and completely brutal environmental storytelling. So I was impressed by the game's keen sense of attention to detail put in by developer Red Barrel. So I won't enter any spoiler territory, but the game's setup involves your character and his girlfriend investigating a missing person, and things go awry whenever their helicopter is shot down. You're separated and it's up to you to find your girlfriend and escape the sick and twisted town run by a leader named Val. More characters are introduced, more plot lines are involved, and the main plot gets bonkers crazy. Luckily, this game's story has little connection with Outlast 1, so you can go into it without playing the original. As far as combat, there is none, which might be a turnoff for some people. You simply hide and seek your way throughout the whole game. The hiding and running is well done, but I wish there was some inclusion of melee or gun combat. Even if those moments were extremely scarce, the gameplay can start to feel samey after a while due to the game's pacing. Luckily, Outlast 2 doesn't overstay its welcome, as I clocked out at around 7 hours. Outlast 2 is one of the best looking games on Switch that uses a realistic art style. It's a showcase of what the hardware is capable of. The game's story is a wild ride, the settings are terrifying, and there's tons of intense moments as you try to escape murderous cult members and gut-wrenchingly scary humanoid enemies that are around every corner. I would consider it a must-play if you're a fan of horror games.